writing it down as soon as you get it, but no talking for right now. So, when I find, oh, I'm talking about my x-intercept, who thinks they know what that is?
The line goes across the x-axis.
Perfect. So, it is where my line, or another word for my line, the real term is it's a function, goes through, you could also say crosses, or the correct term is intersect. I suggest you write intersects and either goes through or crosses, whichever one makes most sense for you. Oh, she needs to intersects the x-axis. So over here, first off, x-axis, this way or this way? Show me, I want to see everyone. This way or this way? X-axis, x. This way or this way? Good. So where does my line intersect my x-axis? -3, good, right here. So in my ordered pair, my x is what? -3. Where do I list that, first or second in my ordered pair? First. Now, what is my y? Now, not where my y intersects, but what is the value of y for this dot?
0.
0. So, I want you to write this at the bottom. 0, or your y value is always 0 for your x-intercept.
So if it's a y-intercept,
We'll get there next. So your y value is always going to be 0 for your x-intercept. If you're looking for x, y is 0. Okay. Look off a neighbor if you're not done, or you can watch the video when you get home. So, what do you think the definition of my y-intercept is? Good. Where my line / function goes through, oopsies, that is not goes through, crosses, intersects. Again, I want you to at least write intersects and one of these two. Intersects is the correct term. These two will help you remember what intersect means if you forget what intersect means. Line function goes through / crosses / intersects the what axis? Good, y-axis. First one was x-axis, this is the y-axis. So y-axis, this way or this way? Everyone?
Vertical.
It's vertical, good. So where does my line cross my my y-axis? Good. So when I put a point, where is 2 going to go? Second. And what is my x? Good. So, as some of you might have already guessed, for right. So your x value is always zero for your y-intercept. I cannot spell. Okay? If you remember these rules, this is basically all you need to know with this part. So, on my next page, all I'm going to do is to identify whether it is an x-intercept, a y-intercept, or neither. In order for it to be an intercept, what number does it have to have? It has to have a 0 somewhere in my ordered pair. Okay? So, when I look at this, which is my x value, which one's my y value? Good. So, what is my 0? Here. What value, what is 0? Y. So when my y is 0, what kind of intercept is it?
Y.
X. It's opposite. X-intercept. And you can do INT for short. Over here, X and Y. So what is my 0? So what kind of intercept? Good, it's opposite. Now over here on 3, 9 is my X, 11 is my Y. Is that going to be an intercept though?
No.
No, why not?
No 0.
There's no 0. So it's neither. Or you could write not an intercept, either way. All right, for 4, we have to make our ordered pair before we can figure it out. Who remembers what this entire thing means? So what can I write instead of it? So what is my y value? What is my y value? -7. So, what is inside my parentheses? What value is that?
0.
But what is it? It's my x. Because remember, it's f of x. Write this somewhere. X value is here. The whole thing is your y value. Another thing that's kind of easy when it's written, this comes first, this comes second. So it becomes x comma y. Okay? Just go in the order of it. As long as your f of x is on your left side, just follow the order. Okay? If you can't remember this, follow the order. If you can remember this, I want you to use this because this is more accurate. But if you can't remember, just follow the order. Because most of the time it's going to be correct. Okay? So my ordered pair is 0, -7. So what kind of intercept is that? Y-intercept. My x is 0, so it's a y-intercept. All right, number 5. How would I write this one as an ordered pair? 2, 1. My 2 is x, my 1 is y. Oops, that's not an x, that's 2. So, is this going to be an intercept?
No.
No, why not?
No 0.
No 0. And my last ordered pair, what is that going to look like? Good. 9, 0. And Jordy, what kind of intercept is it? Good. X-intercept. And that little dash I put in between them, it's not a subtraction sign. It's just like a hyphen, like in a phone number. Okay? All right, next page. See how easy that is? So, over here, it's the same deal, but I'm looking at it in a table. Remember, my table is just like a set of ordered pairs. That's an ordered pair, that's an ordered pair, so on and so forth. So, what am I going to do? What am I going to look for my x-intercept? What is my y going to be in my x-intercept? Cindy, put that away. Sydney, put it away. Not on your paper, away. What is my y going to be in my x-intercept? Now, for my x-intercept, is x going to be 0? It's opposite. So for my x-intercept, y is going to be 0. My y is 0 right here. So this is my x-intercept. And I'm going to write 2 first because my x comes first. Okay? Now, for my y-intercept, my x has to be 0. I'm going to look through. There's my x of 0. I'm going to circle it. And I still write my x first. And it's a negative 6. Now over here, my x-intercept, what has to be 0? Y. Where is my y 0? Is that the only place?
No.
Where else?
Middle.
Are these two different points?
No, it's the same.
They're the same. So I only have one y-intercept here, or sorry, one x-intercept here, because it's the same point. When I graph it, they're just going to be on top of each other. Okay? So I only have one x-intercept, and that's going to be 5, comma, 0. Now, what about my y-intercept? It'll be 0, negative 9. We'll see that in a little bit. Number 4, we will see that. So now we're going to look at them as a graph. What is my x-intercept on number 3? Where does it cross the x-axis? It's not super exact, but it's pretty close. Negative 2, right here. How do I write that as an ordered pair? Negative 2, comma 0. Make sure you get that comma in there, otherwise it looks like negative 20, and that is not what I want. Okay? So, my y-intercept, where's my y-intercept? Good, negative 3, and somebody already said it's 0, negative 3. Now, over here, Jordy was asking, what happens if I have 2 intercepts? How many times does this line cross the x-axis? Twice. So, how many intercepts am I going to have for my x? 2. Where's my first one? Where's my second? So, I have 2. All that means is I'm going to write them both. What's my first one? What kind? Good, negative 2, 0. List your smaller one first. You're going to left to right. And what's my second one? Positive 2, 0. And my y-intercept? Good. Good. Super easy, right? So if I saw 2 of the same, 2 zeros in my y value or 2 zeros in my x value, and they had different points, if they were different points, all you do is you write both of them, okay? You don't write the same one twice, but if you have more than one, that's okay, that happens. Just make sure you write them twice, or once each. All right, so here, all we're doing is we're figuring out how many intercepts they have. So, how many y-intercepts does this one have? How many times does it cross my y-axis? Only once. It only crosses it at 1. Does it cross my x-intercept? Do I have an x-intercept? No. So sometimes I have multiple, sometimes I have 2. So does this one have 1 x and 1 y? No. So this one is not correct. Over here, I have my x-intercepts. How many x-intercepts do I have? Where does it cross my x-intercept? About right just below, between positive 2 and positive 3. So how many intercepts? How many y-intercepts? 1. There's 1 of each. So is that what I should have? So that one would be correct. I'm still going to keep going to make sure, because the SOL likes to trick us. Okay, and so do these tests that we give you. So, does this one have a y-intercept?
Doesn't have either.
It doesn't have either. Good. So there's none for both. It does not cross my y or my x-axis ever that I can see. Okay? So it's none. So this one can't be correct. And over here, how many times does it cross my x-axis? So it kind of looks like it crosses all through over here, but it's gradually going. So where is my intercept? It's at negative 2. That's the only one that's actually intercepting. So it's 1 x-intercept. What about a y-intercept? How many? There's twice. It intercepts here and it intercepts here. So can D be the correct answer? No. So your answer is B. All right. You can do this. So if you're looking for an x-intercept, what do you think I'm going to make y? 0. So when I'm looking for an x-intercept, make your y 0. So if I'm looking for my y-intercept, what do you think I'm going to do? Make your x 0. And here is why. You are trying to find your x. You don't know your x. So you're making y 0 so you can find your x. If I make x 0, I'm not finding x. I'm making x 0. Does that make sense? In order to find y, I need to make x 0 so that I can solve for y, so I can get y on one side. If I make y 0, y's gone. I don't have it on one side. Okay? So I'm going to look down here and I'm going to do just that. So for number 1, I'd like you to split your pages so that you have room in each box. Okay? Number 1, in order to find my x-intercept, what am I going to do to y? Make it what? No. What does it say right above it? What am I going to do to y to get my x-intercept? Make it 0. So I'm just going to plug in. So what that means up there, this just means plug in 0. That is a Z. Plug in 0 for y. And this is plug in 0 for x. Okay? So that's what it means when I say that. So, for number 1, to find my x-intercept, I just do my x-intercept first because we always do x first. So, I'm going to make negative 4x, I'm going to write on the outside so we have more room. Negative 4x minus 2 times 0 equals 12. What is 2 times 0? 0. So, and it's a negative 2. So I have negative 4x minus 0 equals 12. What's negative 4x minus 0? Negative 4x. Now what do I do? Divide by negative 4. Don't forget your line. What does x equal? What kind of 3? Remember, my 4 is negative. Now, do you think that's my answer? What does an intercept look like? It has my ordered pair. So, where am I going to put negative 3? And what is my y going to be? 0. There you go. And you're going to label it as x-intercept. Okay? Now, I'm going to do my y. Now, to get my y, I have to make my x 0. So I have negative 4 times 0 minus 2y equals 12. So what is negative 4 times 0? Negative 4 times 0 is 0 minus 2y equals 12. What is 0 minus 2y? Not 2y. Negative 2y. The 0 just goes away. Now what? My 2's go away and I get y equals what? And what does that look like as an ordered pair?
0 and negative 6.
Good. Y equals negative 6. So that becomes 0 comma negative 6 as my y-intercept. You never have to actually write out intercept. INT is okay. All right? So now over here, we're going to see something. I'm going to show you a bit of a way to do it faster. So, I'm going to plug in y as 0. So 0 equals negative 7x plus 21. What do I do first here?
Minus 21.
I moved 21 to the other side, so I subtract 21. What is 0 minus 21? Just negative 21. I get 7x equals negative 21. Now what?
Divided by -1.
Perfect. Divide by negative 7. And my 7's go away, and I get x equals 3. And how do I write that as an ordered pair? 3, 0. And that is my x-intercept. Please label it. If you don't label it, I don't know which one it is, and I can't give you full credit. Okay? Now, if I have one of my variables on one side, my second one's going to be really easy. Watch this. Y equals negative 7 times 0 plus 21. What is negative 7 times 0?
0.
So I can just cross it out because it becomes 0. What does y equal?
1.
That's it. Pretty cool. So, what is my y-intercept?
0.
0, 21.
Oh no.
Nope, it's positive, it's plus, but it's a little softly written. Okay. I wish I could bring this back to that side. I don't know how. Alright, so for 3, how would I rewrite this? Good. Y equals 3x plus 9. So I want you to skip ahead to the ones with the graphs, and we'll come back to those two, okay? So skip ahead to this one, please. All we're doing here is we're doing the same thing, but after we find my intercepts, I'm just going to graph them. So to find my x-intercept, I'm going to make y 0. So I'm going to get 0 equals 2x minus 4. What do I do first? Plus 4, it's a negative 4. What is 0 plus 4? Now what?
45 by 2.
I divide 2 out. And I get x equals 2. So what is my x-intercept?
2 to 0.
Good. 2, 0. Now I'm going to do my y-intercept. I have y equals 2 times 0, put it in parentheses, plus 4, minus 4, right? What do I do with 2 times 0? What does y equal? Good. My y-intercept, because what is 0 times 2? So it just goes away. You can solve it out. You can do 0 times 2, write down 0 minus 4, and then 0 minus 4 is negative 4. If you have trouble seeing that, write it out, okay? And you can't always do that. It only works if you have one of your variables on the other side, okay? So, my y-intercept is 0, negative 4. Now all I'm going to do is graph those points. So to graph 2, 0, I'm going to go on my x-axis, 1, 2, and it's going to be on it. So it just goes there. For my y, I'm going to go 0 and then down to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put this in red. Now all I'm going to do is connect my lines. And you're going to make it as straight as possible. And make sure you put your arrows. Here's a tip. If you do not have a straight edge, take your calculator. Ta-da! That's a straight edge. Okay? Do not use your little curve.
What if you straight up drawing straight lines?
I'd be careful. Because when you have to start pulling plots off of it, you have to be super exact. Alright, so go ahead and work on the other problems. You have about 3 minutes. I would like you to have all of this done. I'm going to start solving the next one on the board so you can check it. And I will finish all of these problems and put them on Blackboard, okay? So if you want to check your answers, go on Blackboard, watch the video, and you'll get the end ones. So, yes? I want you doing 6, 7, 8, and 9, and the 2 we left undone before the graphs, or 3, however many there were. There was, oh, what about, oh, I see domain and range. We skipped domain, so 3 and 4, and then here. We skipped domain and range on our graph. That's important. So, my domain and my range. On my graph here, am I going to eventually reach all of my x values? So my domain is? And my y is? Same thing. No. Because I'm not putting in my points. This is a line. So I'm giving myself an equation. My equation is y equals all real numbers and x equals all real numbers. Because it is a line that goes on and on and on non-stop. Okay? And I believe all of them are going to wind up that way. Alright, so I'm going to start solving this guy. But again, I will solve all of them and put them up on Blackboard so you can check your work. I want you to do them all. You also are going to have to do your homework. Mr. Franklin's going to pass out your homework. Number 5. No, number 5 is in here. You need to get it all done, okay? You have 5 days, almost a week. Please come by my room after school today so you can retake that test. So sorry, take it for the first time, finish it, sorry. And if not, please email me when you can come in on Monday or Tuesday. I will give you food.
So for one, we have to finish by itself.
No, not necessarily. All I do is for my x-intercept, I'm going to go 5x plus 2 times 0 equals 10.
So when you're trying to solve the x,
I'm not actually solving.
not solving, like whatever.
If I'm trying to find my x, my y is 0. Always. And if I'm trying to find my y, my x is 0. Right, we're fine. Okay. Have a good day, guys. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out. 2 times 0 cancels out. And I bring down 5x equals 10. Remember, if you had wanted to write it, you would do 5x plus 0. And then 5x plus 0 is just 5x. And you still get the same answer. Then I'm going to divide by 5 to get x by itself. 5 goes away. I get x equals 2. And my intercept is going to look like this. X intercept is going to be 2, 0. Remember, your x-intercept is an ordered pair, not just x equals 2. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go 1, 2, and put it right here on the line. Now I'm going to do my y-intercept. I will have 5 times 0 plus 2y equals 10. 5 times 0 cancels out. It becomes 0. I bring down 2y because 0 plus 2y is just 2y equals 10. Then, to get y by itself, I just divide by 2. Remember to draw your line. Divide by 2. And I get y equals 5. My ordered pair, though, is going to be my y-intercept. Remember to label it. It's going to be 0, 5. Because 5 is my y value, and y comes second. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put my dot right on the line. Then again, I'm just going to connect my lines. This is not a straight line, and I would like you to try and make a straight line. Use a straight edge. Again, you can use the back of your calculator, the battery case cover. All right. Number 7. I'm going to draw my line. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to remind myself that f of x is just a fancy way of saying y. So I'm going to write it again, this time, writing it as y equals negative 3x plus 6, just so that I can remember what it actually is. So to get my x-intercept, I make y 0, negative 3x plus 6. First thing I'm going to do is move my 6 over. It's positive, so I subtract it. My 6's go away, I'm left with negative 3x. 0 minus 6 is just negative 6. Now I'm going to divide because 3 is glued to x with multiplication. Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. 3's go away and I get x equals, now remember, a negative 6 divided by a negative 3 is going to be a positive 2. And my intercept is going to be, x-intercept is going to be 2, comma 0 again. So far, it looks like we've been getting 2, 0 as our intercepts for all of them. So again, I go over here, start at my origin, 1, 2, because my x-intercept falls on my x-axis. Now I'm going to do my y. And I have y equals negative 3 times 0 plus 6. Negative 3 times 0 just becomes 0. This time I'm actually going to write that out. So I'll do y equals 0 plus 6. 0 plus 6 is 6, so it's just y equals 6. And my intercept is going to be 0, comma 6. So I'm going to go to my origin again, and it's positive, and I'm doing my y-axis, so I go up and down, and it's positive, so I go up, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and plot my point. Then again, connect my lines, and put my arrows on. It's very important that you put your arrows on. And I did skip a step in the last one, so I'm going to go back here, because I forgot to do the domain and the range. Remember to read your problem in its entirety so that you don't make that same mistake. So if I look at my graph, my line is going to keep going on and on and on forever. So eventually it's going to reach all x values. So my x in set filter notation is just going to be equal to all real numbers. Remember, my domain is my x. D comes before D comes before R in the alphabet, x comes before y in the alphabet. So just do alphabetically. And my range is also going to go on. Eventually that line is going to reach all of my y values as well. So it's also going to be y such that y is equal to all real numbers. And I'm going to put it in my fancy parentheses that we call brackets. Going back to this one. And I'm going to look at my line again. If I look, it's the same thing here. It's going to go on forever and ever and ever because I've got the arrowheads on it. So all I'm going to do is write in x such that x is equal to all real numbers again, and y such that y is equal to all real numbers. Okay. Next problem. I'm again going to plug in for my x first. So I have negative 6x to find my y-intercept. I plug in to find my x-intercept, I plug in 0 for y, plus 8 times 0. And remember, when you plug something in, you put it in parentheses. Equals negative 24. Now, 8 times 0 becomes 0. This time again, I'm going to write it out. If you want to follow it like you would be solving algebraically with any other number, I would subtract 0 to move it. And my zeros would cancel out, and I get negative 6x. And negative 24 minus 0 is just negative 24. So again, those are the different ways I can move my 0 around. But if I'm good at recognizing it, I can just know that 8 times 0 is just going to go away. So I'll have negative 6x equals 24. I'm going to divide by negative 6. And I'm going to get x, my 6 is canceled out, and I get x equals negative 24 divided by negative 6. It's going to be a positive, and it's going to be 4. So 6 times 4 is 24. So my intercept is going to be, x-intercept is going to be 4, comma 0. I'm going to go over here onto my graph, and I'm going to go on my x-intercept to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to be on it because it's 0. Now I'm going to do my y-intercept. I have my x is going to be 0 this time, so negative 6 times 0 plus 8 times y equals negative 24. This time I'm just going to say 6 times 0, negative 6 times 0 cancels out. So I'm left with 8y equals negative 24. I'm going to divide by 8. Sorry about that, someone came in. So my 8's cancel out, and I get y equals negative 24 divided by 8 is 3, and it's going to be a negative 3 because one of them is negative. So I'm going to write my ordered pair as y-intercept, so always I'm going to label, is equal to 0, comma, negative 3, because it's my y value. My y comes second in my ordered pair. So I'm going to go to my origin, and I'm going to go down this time because it's a negative 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put my point right there. And I'm going to connect my lines again. And before I scroll down to my domain and range, I'm going to look and I'm going to notice this again. This line is going to continue going on and on. Eventually it will reach all x, and eventually it will reach all y. So for my domain and my range, again, my domain is x such that x is equal to all real numbers. And my range is y such that y is equal to all real numbers. You will not always have it like this. There will be ones where your range is going to be a little different. But when I only have when I only have one x-intercept and one y-intercept, your range is going to be, always your range is going to be all real and your domain is going to be all real. Unless you're dealing with a vertical line on the origin or a horizontal line through the origin. But we won't deal with those right now. So my last one here, again, solve for your x1 first, which means y becomes 0. 4x minus 10 times 0 equals negative 20. Bring down my 4x. Negative 10 times 0 is just 0. It goes away. So 4x equals negative 20. And to get x by itself, I divide by 4. My 4's cancel out. I get x is equal to negative 5. So now I'm going to write it as an intercept, x-intercept. And it's going to be 5, 0 because my x is listed first. Now I'm going to do my y. And I have for x, actually for my y-intercept, my x is going to have to be 0. So it's going to be 4 times 0 minus 10y equals negative 20. Again, 4 times 0 becomes 0. I'm just going to cross it out. So I get negative 10y equals negative 20. I divide by negative 10 to get y by itself. And I get my 10's cancel out. I get y equals positive 2 because negative divided by a negative is a positive. So to write that as my ordered pair, I will have my y-intercept, because again, I want you to label. It's going to equal 0, 2. Again, 2 is my y value. Y comes second in my parentheses. So I go to my origin, and I go up 2 because it's positive 2. 1, 2. Now I'm going to go back and plot my x-intercept because I didn't do that originally. And it is 5, 0. So I start at my origin. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I put it there. Okay? And again, connect your dots, draw the arrows. And again on this one, my domain and my range are all real numbers. So I have x such that x is equal to all real numbers again. And y such that y is equal to all real numbers. So many. Okay, good. So I'm going to go back to those 2 we skipped earlier, and then you'll be done. All right. Oopsies. I went too far. Okay. So I'm going to find my x-intercept. To find my x-intercept, y becomes 0. So I rewrite this as 0 equals 3x plus 9. First thing I'm going to do after I draw my line is move 9. 9 is positive, so I subtract it. My 9's cancel out. I get 3x. And 0 minus 9 is negative 9. To get x by itself, now I have to divide by 3. And I get negative 3 over here. My 3's cancel out, and I get x. As an intercept, that's going to be, not y, sorry. X-intercept is equal to negative 3, comma 0. Again, put it in parentheses. Don't forget your comma. And x comes first, y comes second. Draw a line here. Now we're going to do our y-intercept. So I have y equals 3 times 0 plus 9. 3 times 0 gives me 0 plus 9. 0 plus 9 gives me 9. So y equals 9. And I could have, again, just looked at that, saw my 3 times 0, and just crossed it out and got y equals 9. But these are the steps of how that worked. So my ordered pair is my y-intercept is 0, comma 9. Remember, 9 is my y value, and y comes second. So these are my two answers. Here and here. I'm going to draw my line here. All right, now my last one. Aren't you excited? I am. All right, so I'm going to make my y 0 again equals negative 2x plus 3. I'll move my 3 over by adding 3. My 3's cancel out, and I get negative 2x, and I get 3, because 0 plus 3 is 3. I'm going to put my multiplication there, and remember it's being glued by multiplication, so I have to divide to move it. And it's okay if I have a fraction. Fractions happen. It's part of math. So I have x equals 3 over 2, and it's a negative 3 over 2. So my intercept is just going to be x-intercept of negative 3 over 2, comma 0. We don't like having to plot fractions. We hate it. That's why when we use our calculator and we write that chart, we don't use decimals, because decimals is just another way of writing fractions, and we don't want them. But sometimes when we solve equations, we do have a fraction, and that happens. It's just part of it. If you're concerned, because we don't normally do it as often, we do it, but not as often. If you're concerned, just go back and check your work. Plug it in and see if it works. So, actually, I'm going to show you what plugging it in would look like. So, if I wanted to check that 2/3 was correct, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to remember my original equation of y equals negative 2x plus 3. We are saying that my x is negative 3/2 and my y is 0. So I'm going to plug those values in. 0 equals negative 2, parentheses, 3 over 2, and it's negative, plus 3, yes, plus 3. So I have 0 equals negative 2 times negative 3 over 2 plus 3. So I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to do second quit, take it away, negative 2 times, parentheses, negative 3 divided by 2. Enter. And I get 3. So I'm going to write 0 equals, this becomes 3. Then I bring down plus 3. Wait a second. One thing is off here. Aha! Does anyone else see my mistake? So, up here, the very first time when I moved 3 from over here. So I'm looking right here. When I moved 3, I subtracted it. But if you look over here, I added it. That's not okay. Whatever I did to the one side, I had to do to the other side. So I'm going to erase my plus sign. I'm going to go back in, I'm going to do minus 3. So all that means is it becomes negative 3. And then negative 3 over negative 2 just becomes a positive 3 over positive 2, because a negative divided by a negative is just a positive. Okay? So it would be positive here. I still have my fraction, but it's a positive 3/2. So when I go and plug it in down here, I should have plugged in positive 3/2. So we're going to go back to our calculator and do that again. This is why it is so important to show our work. If we hadn't shown our work, it wouldn't have been as easy to figure out where we went wrong. But because I showed all my work, it was very easy to see. So I'm going to go to my calculator. This time I'm going to make my negative 2 being multiplied by a positive 3 divided by 2. Oops. Divided by 2. Remember, fractions always go in parentheses when you enter them. And I get a negative 3 this time. So it's negative 3 plus 3. And negative 3 plus 3 does give me 0. And 0 equals 0. So it is correct, so that means I solved it correctly. So it is a fraction. So again, if you get a fraction and you feel uncomfortable and don't think it's correct, plug it in and see if it works. It might just be a fraction. If it's a really weird fraction, you might have done something wrong. So it's worth checking your work anyway, but especially if you're concerned over a fraction. If something doesn't seem right, check it. Trust your gut. So now I'm going back and I'm solving for my y-intercept this time. So I have y equals negative 2x plus 3. Actually, not 2x. Remember, x becomes 0. So negative 2 times 0 plus 3. Negative 2 times 0 just gives me 0. Break down my plus 3. And 0 plus 3 just gives me 3. So my y-intercept is again going to be 0, 3, because my y is 3 and my y comes second. So there's my answer. Oh. And I'm going to circle my answers, especially when we have all this work. Please circle your answers. Okay? All right. I hope that this was easy enough for you, and I hope you're having an awesome weekend. We will see you on Wednesday.